Lord Prescott. Shall I call you Lord Prescott or Baron
John,
Prescott?
for God's sake, John.
But is it Baron Prescott or Lord Prescott?
They say it's Baron over there, but it's like somebody said to me at the station, "Oh, good morning, Lord Prescott." I said, "You've talked to me for the last 40 years, you've called me John. Can we keep with that?" He turned to my wife, "And what about you, Pauline?" "No, just call me lady, I like that."
Okay, well, I'm going to call you John then. And I'm going to ask you to count us down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, once I've put the battery in, please.
Okay.
So here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When you were in power, when you were in government, did you feel that New Labour was too close to News International?
Oh, yes. When you talk about individuals, it's leaders of parties, whether it's Cameron or whether it's Blair or whether it was Brown in this case. And of course, they've always had influence with leaders, and frankly, I thought their contacts and invitations to Australia and all the social events of Murdoch was wrong. I always turned them down. Yes, they were too close.
Did you speak up about it?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, I used to find they were playing Brown off against Blair, particularly Rebecca Brooks, or Wade as she was then. And she used to tell one story to Gordon, one story to Tony. They'd each come back to me and say, "This is what really Tony's doing or Gordon's doing." And I said, "You're just being played off by this Rebecca Wade woman." And Murdoch, yes, I used to make my views known.
Well, Rebecca Brooks isn't here, so she can't answer that. Let me ask you, what was your proudest achievement in power?
I find that I had some great things, and I won't go through them, like the environment side. And there was so much enjoying them. I can't really pick out the hardest. Some things I didn't do as well as others, and I might put that into housing and council housing. There were reasons about that, but I did put billions into improving housing.
Did you enjoy power?
Well, I enjoyed doing things that I wanted to be seen done, and I was following very closely our manifesto, and sometimes they'd tell me I couldn't do it, like the investigation into the Marchioness. Said, "Oh, that's 10 years ago. We can't open up that inquiry." Yes, you can. Get on with it. It's nice to be able to do that.
Do you feel that New Labour achieved as much as you, John Prescott, would have liked them to achieve in their years in power?
Well, I call it Labour. I know there were those that want to be New Labour, and I suppose I was in old Labour. But if you ask me the record of a Labour government under Tony Blair, it was brilliant. If you look how much money went into hospitals and schools, 2 million more people back in work. We had our pledge card, 5 of them, all that have been achieved in 5 years. I'm proud of that record, yes. That was Labour.
Would you have liked to be Prime Minister yourself?
I suppose if I run for the leader, I'd have to say that was the case, but it's a hell of a job. It's not one I'd want to run into, but when I was running for the leader of the Labour Party, the obvious, if we'd have been elected, I might have become the leader, and I'd have got on with it, don't worry.
Who were you actually closer to when you were in government, Tony Blair or Gordon Brown?
There were two different personalities, and it was easier to get closer to Tony Blair than Gordon. So I suppose I'd have to say Gordon, but they were two brilliant men, and I had a great honour of
So you were
working
closer
with
to
them.
Gordon Brown?
Politically, I was probably closer to Gordon Brown than Tony, but Tony, in
actually,
his own personality, was a friendlier person.
Are you friends with him now?
I would like to think so. I have more contact. I haven't had contact with Gordon Brown, but I do with Tony Blair. And Gordon's retired a bit, hasn't he?
Do you think overall the media has been fair to you over the years?
No, of course they haven't. They might think I'm not being fair to them, but journalists have not been my top of priority.
When you're being interviewed by a broadcast journalist, have you ever been tempted to lie?
I think I can honestly say no, but there's sometimes when you dance on a pinhead. I'll give you one example. You remember when the Forest Hill, when they were going to turn the Asians out on a terrorist activity and then went in and shot 2 people. On that occasion, I called them all together, the MPs, and they kept arguing about Bush. And I said, "Look, Bush is crap. Can we now get on with the real problem of dealing with this problem?" The Independent were told by one of the members there I'd said that was put on the front page. And so that was one time where I had to dance on the pin. I remember talking to Tony Blair. Look, I've got to admit I've said it, but I'm going to be saying, no, I don't think that's the case. It wasn't put that way. But that's the nearest I ever got to it.
Do you have tactics then? Have you had tactics to deal with difficult questions?
Oh yeah, you think it through. I mean, Prime Minister's questions, you better find out what you're going to say. And I would like to introduce a bit of humour in it. One of my problems was the old grammar, you know. So he's got no syntax. I thought syntax was a tax, but leave it alone. Basically, And I couldn't get the grammar right. It isn't part of my makeup, and so I used to be very careful to rehearse the words. So one word, Milosevic, which I can say now, I couldn't then say, run over it, and you get done.
Who do you think would be the better Prime Minister, David Miliband or Ed Miliband?
I think it's too early to tell now. The different characters. One had more experience in a particular office, such as David. Ed's finding his way through, and I'm sure we're going to be okay.
Tell me some stuff you do outside work. 5 seconds to go.
I still do a bit of diving, but mainly just work.
And that is 5 minutes. John Prescott, thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
John, I want to ask you one more question. It's cheating, a bonus question. When you hit the man in Prestatyn ahead of the 2001 election, did you feel fear?
No, there's no time for fear. Somebody's hit you or done something, warm going down, is it blood? I just got to defend myself, so I had to step back, up and connected, and then I realised I didn't want all these punches, so I dragged him onto me.
And you'd been hit by an egg?
I didn't know it was an egg.
Was it an egg? It was
yes,
an egg.
it was, yeah, but it was warm. I was thinking perhaps it's blood.
And did you think you'd get sacked after that?
No, I wasn't thinking about any of that. But to be honest, I didn't think I'd get sacked for it. After all, I am connecting with the electorate.
John Prescott, thank you very much.